The other day, my daughter came up to me and she said, "Hey, Dad, you've always taught me that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Why can't grown-ups be that way too?" I thought that's actually a really, really great question. And here's what I do know. We're never all going to agree on what's offensive because the word offensive isn't really a measurable trait. You can make other words associate with offensive, like insulting or derogatory, disrespectful, hurtful, whatever it is, but it doesn't really matter. Because here's what I do know. You're not owed a perfect day. I mean, you obviously have the right to feel offended or annoyed, but that's something that you and I choose to feel. There's not a human being on this planet that can force you to feel any way unless you make that choice. And what I've found is the reason certain words or situations trigger this response of feeling offended in us is because of the meaning that we associate to it, or because we've been taught to believe that these triggers are supposed to offend us. But here's what my experience has actually shown me. People that are easily offended are typically consistent or at least compulsive complainers. That's right, I said it. They don't tend to enjoy or appreciate what they do have because they tend to focus on what they don't have or believe what they must have or even more, perhaps what other people need to do or aren't doing in order for them to feel good about their own life. It's crazy. And what's interesting is watching this video right now is someone sitting on the other side getting offended because they believe that I'm in some way criticizing their beliefs. Even though I may not have said it, they want to believe it. And being easily offended is actually a form of what I call self-victimization. Now, you may not believe that, but there's an interesting philosophy behind this. And it was clarified by a gentleman named Julian Rotter in the 1950s. It's called locus of control. Now, there's two types of locus of control. There's internal locus of control and external locus of control. Now, what's the difference? Well, people who have a high internal locus of control believe that their own effort, hard work, learning from setbacks, soliciting feedback, even offensive criticism will lead them to success. They'll figure out a way. And people who have this high external locus of control say that success or failure is because of sources outside their immediate control. Luck, other individuals, environmental factors, accidental chance, whatever it is. I mean, the bottom line is criticism that turns into being offended really isn't going to impact you unless you have that external locus of control. But let me share a couple tips that we can all learn to master, maybe just a little bit more to help us in this journey. Number one is love truth more than being right. If you think about it, arguments are because the driving force of saying, I'm right, you're wrong. Imagine if you just showed up instead. You learn to focus on the statement that says, hey, am I in full integrity with myself? Did I even deserve that comment? What can I do different? These are hard things, but it goes to our second learning point, which is overcome your ego. Or maybe one of the things we could start doing is ask the person what their intent was. Do you notice what I just said? Their intent. Perhaps someone made a comment because their sphere of influence, their belief system says they're correct. Now imagine if you were judged 100% on what you say versus what your intent is. Guess what? You're going to be a pretty lonely person. And finally, I believe 90% of offensive statements don't even come from a hurtful heart. Now that may offend someone, and I get it, and that's okay. I know where my heart is, and I can only be accountable for what I know is true. But here's the great news. The whole sticks and stones, is a powerful proverb because words will only hurt you if you make the choice. So what do you got to do? You got to resist being offended. Resist it. You feel it coming on? Stop it. Instead, focus on the problem that's within your control. Now, of course, you can't control the actions and reactions of others, but remember, though, you do control whether or not you surround yourself with toxic people, politics, maybe even a job that you hate. Just start being aware. Next time you believe you're offended, ask yourself, why am I getting offended? Is this their intent, or am I making that assumption? What can I do to add value to this conversation? Instead of just digging in and being right, what can I do to add value? Now, if you change your thinking, you change your language. You change your language, you open up dialogue, and that dialogue is what creates collaboration. And collaboration is where we gain success together.